We're calling the meeting to order. I'm Jack Walsh. I will be chairing the meeting. Jack Dovey, the committee chair, has asked me to chair it. He is joining by telephone. Committee member Tran is he is excused today. We're also joined by Deputy Mayor Susan Honda. There is no public comment, correct?
No public comment.
No public comment. Okay. Let's go ahead with committee business. The first.
I'm sorry, Jack, I'm also here.
Okay. Great. And Councilmember Lydia Sefadossin is here as well, remotely. So, anyone else that I've missed?
Hey, Jack, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you fine.
Okay, thank you. I'm here.
Okay, great. So the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Do we have a?
I move.
Yeah. Okay.
I move adoption.
Okay. The approval of the minutes have been. Motion has been made. I second it. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. We will now go to item B, Amendment to Underground Utility Locating Correction, excuse me.
Okay. Good evening, Council. Good evening, members of the committee. Deputy Mayor Honda. I'm Cole Elliott. I'm the Development Services Manager. Give me a second and I will get the share going. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, here we go. This is the Underground Utility Locating Services Agreement extension. This came before you previously. We pulled it before council due to an error in one of the exhibits, and I will just go briefly through it. Should the council approve the extension of the Underground Utility Locating Services Agreement with USIC LLC? That's the policy question before you tonight. The background, the city's required to mark out the city-owned utilities when one call is requested within the city limits. The beginning in 2019, the contract was with USIC Locating Services for storm facilities, signals, and street lights. The city fiber is largely not marked out, therefore the city still remains liable. Typically 1 to 2 city-owned utility strikes occur per year. There was a previously error on the presentation given to you in July, and we pulled it before council packet. It's been corrected in your packet. During the 2019-2020 budget, the Public Works reviewed all of our in-house things and contracted services and to identify potential savings and efficiencies. Storm drainage, signals, street lights within the current budget was approved to contract out to utility locates. The city fiber was not included. Requests for proposals were put out in February and March of 2019. We received one reply from the utility service locating. The 2020-2022 budget was $220,000 in a combination between swim and traffic. The contract cost for 2023-24 again is $220,000, and it's got the same two budget areas. The options to consider are approve the underground USIC locating agreement not to exceed $220,000 and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement, or reject it and provide us with some direction. The mayor, of course, recommends option one. Do you have any questions?
Any questions from anyone? Yes, Deputy Mayor Honda.
Yes, ma'am.
So a utility strike is when someone's digging and they hit the utility? Is that
Hits or damages our existing underground utility. Yes, ma'am.
So would that be a homeowner digging or someone doing construction work on it?
Actually, it varies across the board for us. Typically, what we have is homeowners are right now, based upon the last examination that we looked at, somewhere between 20 and 30% of the strikes. A lot of them are contractors that are in a big hurry, even though they know it's the law.
So when you say the city is liable for utility strikes, is that because of why? They're not labeled?
We're liable for utility strikes on the fiber, ma'am, because we don't locate the fiber as part of this contract. So we would be liable for that damage as an unlocated utility.
Why don't we locate it?
It was originally proposed, and the council at the time decided not to include it in the packet. It wasn't within the budget of IT, and Public Works couldn't absorb the cost.
So what is the cost to include fiber?
I'm going to defer to EJ on that one.
It's at the beginning of your presentation, I think. Yeah, so to back up a step, so the city's had a fiber system since roughly 2004 that we have slowly, or IT, not Public Works, has slowly grown over the years. We are as Public Works, we are responsible for marking out stormwater and the electrical associated with traffic signal systems. When we went to this, we did, and throughout that entire duration, the fiber system was never located, even previously when all the other stuff we used to do in-house with either our inspector or pay King County to do. When we presented this originally as a cost savings for the Public Works side of it, there was no IT budget to locate fiber, which was basically maintain what had been being done for the past 10 years, 15 years. And I want to say it was anticipated to be like approximately $30,000 a year to locate all of the city fiber. There was no budget allocated for it, and the direction was to proceed kind of with status quo of what we had been doing at the time. That remains the same. So it's a little bit of a risk-reward question. And this falls under Thomas Fitchner's area, not mine. So, I'm speaking to it, going out on a limb a little bit here. But, we are required to locate it by law. We operate a franchise, IT operates a franchise, and it's required to be located. That being said, if it's not located and it's hit, it's the city's responsibility to pay for all the costs associated with repairing it, which is basically what we've done. So we have, as a city, we occasionally do have hits that we have to pay for. So there was one approximately 2 weeks ago that we had to, IT had to have a contractor come out and do an emergency repair of the fiber system. Some years, it doesn't get hit.
What does the repair cost?
I don't know what the most recent one cost. The one around 320th that was hit about a year ago was about a $50,000 bill.
So the 30,000 isn't that much,
No, I mean, it is funding, and like I said, some years we effectively pay zero, but yeah, it should be being located, frankly.
So if we added $30,000 to the budget for this, then if someone hits it, then they're responsible to repair it?
So the way it works is we have a contract with USIC. They are responsible for going out and locating it, painting it out. Assuming that occurs and the utility is hit, you are correct, that then the contractor that hit it is responsible.
So it's not the recommendation of staff to do that,
It has been our recommendation since day one. However, it's got to be put in the IT budget to fund it.
And so when it's hit and damaged, it comes out of the IT budget anyway? Or whose budget?
I would have to ask Thomas that question. I'm not sure if
Okay.
it comes out of IT or risk off the top
It's
of my
like
head.
having insurance, right? You might need it and you might not need it, but if you need it, it could cost more than paying for the insurance.
Correct.
So,
Yeah, Council, or.
whoever I am.
Council President Kochmar has joined us, and you have a question.
Thank you. So I'm just wondering, will it be in the budget this year?
I can have Thomas get back to you on that. Not that I'm aware of.
So here's a couple of things, because I know all about underground utility locating because of where I used to work. We always used to say, dig with a shovel. But do we know where all of our fiber is located so we can locate it?
I believe so. I would want to confirm that with Thomas, but over the last 2 years, we've been mapping it pretty extensively. I'm
So
pretty
part-
confident the answer is yes.
Part of this, what would concern me is not just so much hitting the fiber, it's what it's going to do to who has been knocked out of service. What kind of ramifications there are there, and we may not be liable for that. But I'm just, again, because it's a bigger picture. So maybe, would you ask Thomas to see if he could look at it for his budget?
Sure. So that one I can answer if you want to know
Yeah,
the
thank
answer
you.
to it. So we own what's called a dark fiber network. So it's connected to King County and INET, but it is for city operations. So it connects things from like the police substation to City Hall. It connects the PAC to City Hall. It connects, most of our traffic signals are connected to the system. It's how they work together. There's various other buildings like Dumas Bay, the community center, that are all connected to that network. But it is not something where we're renting bandwidth to businesses or that. Metro does use it, though. King County Metro does use it.
Okay, and that's fine. But would you ask him to give us a presentation on it?
Sure.
Thank you.
What this contract currently that we're looking at to approve, how long is it for?
2-year extension, sir.
2-year extension.
Yes, sir.
And so would it be, if we decided to add, could the contract be amended later on?
So it's already in there. Since day one, we've built it in that it's an option that the city just needs to give them
Okay.
notice that we want to proceed with it, but we have to be able to pay the bills too when they come in.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any further discussion?
This is Jack. This is Jack. It would seem to me that we want to pass this contract and in budget, ask the mayor and the staff to address the fiber and possibly add it to the budget for this coming budget cycle.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, do we have a motion to then?
Yes, Jack, I move that we approve the agreement and send it to the consent agenda.
Right. I second the motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes unanimously. Thank you. Right. That takes us to let's see here. I see Cheney up there, so that all right. So item C, Department of Commerce grant authorization request. So Cheney Skadson will present for Keith Niven, it looks like. Yes.
Hi, good evening. I'm Cheney Skadson. Good evening, Chair Dovey, Council President Kochmar, Deputy Mayor Honda, and the rest of the council and committee. I'm stepping in for Keith, Planning Manager, to request to accept a Washington Department State Commerce grant for a new climate chapter to the comprehensive plan. So the policy question is, should the city accept this grant from the State Department of Commerce, Washington State Department of Commerce? So back in November, the city adopted our basically our 2024 update, or our plan to update the comprehensive plan, and that included a new chapter for climate and resiliency. That work, we had applied for this grant to help supplement the work that would be needed to complete this new chapter. There's no financial commitment from the city. And only staff time will be needed to manage and track the grant, but no other financial obligation is required. Like I mentioned, this is also part of the public participation plan, that new chapter for climate and resiliency. It'll be used to calculate quantifiable information to base chapter goals, policies, and implementing actions on. This grant was a competitive grant that was offered in June of 2022, and Federal Way was successful in applying and was granted $80,000. The mayor recommends accepting the grant. Are there any questions?
Any questions from any of the committee or council? I do not have any questions then. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, Jack, I move that we approve acceptance of the grant and move it to the consent agenda.
I second the motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. And on to item D, quarterly update, comprehensive plan periodic update, 2024. And go ahead, Cheney.
Thank you. This is my third update, so it's kind of wild to think that we've already had 3 quarterly updates that we've already been working on this. So I'm going to go over just a brief overview of our community engagement efforts, and then go a little deeper in talking about 2 chapters that are receiving a lot of attention right now and making a lot of progress on. So, there's been a lot of community engagement efforts for the overall community by attending community events such as the Red, White, and Blues Festival and the Make Music Festivals in Town Square Park. We've been meeting with community-based organizations such as Lion Club, Kiwanis Rotary, the Senior Center, or going to the Senior Center and the Historical Society, and then also extending the invitation to community leaders or just members of the public that want to have coffee or a more detailed conversation on the future of the city. It's been a lot of fun, and the summer was really busy with these efforts. In terms of project-specific events, there's been a town hall for the South Station Sub-Area Plan. I'll get into more detail of that later. And then we've also had some city center-specific outreach and events around our downtown. One of the chapters that's also a new chapter for this update to the comprehensive plan is arts, culture, and historic preservation. This has been a really fun chapter to be working on. Arts and culture are really a value and important thing I'm hearing throughout the community, and arts and culture can provide a medium for preserving, celebrating, and inventing a community's character and identity and placemaking. It's a way to engage participation in the civic life and inform, educate, and learn from diverse audiences, which Federal Way has quite a diverse community. And then also communicate across demographic and socioeconomic lines. This chapter will consider both the social and the physical environments and look back into the past to preserve the heritage while we plan for the future. So this is a chapter that brings a lot of things together. There's been targeted engagement with the Arts Commission on a monthly basis. They've been really spearheading some of this effort, in addition to work with the Historical Society to make sure that those voices are represented. The process to develop this new chapter has included talking about where we are now, looking at our existing conditions inventory, where are people having fun in the city, and identifying our community assets, opportunities, and challenges. And then also transitioning to where we want to go, or where are we going, looking towards the future and assessing our progress on some city documents like the Alive in the Arts cultural plan from 1993. That was the one and only city cultural plan. And then also integrating external documents like the Historical Society's strategic plan as an organization that very much is involved in those efforts. And then thinking about where we want to be. So the arts and culture can be defined in many ways, and it comes up a lot to not be exclusive with art alone, but art being something that you can experience and you can practice and expose people to. And then culture being it consists of the different languages, religions, customs, foods, and different aspects of or social structures of groups of people. And while the diversity refers to the plurality of the different groups, so these are all relevant terms to be thinking about when in this chapter, because I see these arts and culture, the historical preservation being tools to creating and defining the community's character. So the community character refers to like a distinct identity of a place, and it's also this collective impression that a place makes on residents and visitors. So when we hear about the community wanting to be identifiable or having a memorable downtown, these are all things that are relevant to this chapter and to a lot of the other chapters in the comp plan as well, but is something that this chapter will focus on. And I'm going to jump over to our progress on the South Station sub-area plan. So this is one of the 3 sub-area plans the city's working on updating, or this is a new one, so creating as part of the centers chapter to the comp plan. And we started with that town hall I mentioned earlier in mid-June that had a lot of participation from the neighborhoods or attendance. There's, I think, like 20 people there. And currently we're holding monthly stakeholder group meetings, and that stakeholder group consists of property owners, community leaders, preservation advocates, institutions like our partners at the Federal Way Public Schools and the South King Fire and Rescue, as they are both property owners within this area and have vested interest in the outcome, and then also our religious institutions. So far, we're still working on creating the vision for this area and have completed a draft on the existing conditions analysis and market assessment. We'll be preparing future planning scenarios for how we want to plan for this area to change, considering the light rail station arrival. And then, but those scenarios will be vetted by the Planning Commission before we get too far, and that's scheduled for November. Any questions?
First, I have one question. With the uncertainty on just where the light rail station will be for the South Station, does that make it more difficult in working on the plan, or does it really make any difference at this point?
I think there's a less variability on the location of the station than maybe the alignment south of the station. But yeah, I mean, you bring up a really good point. We're preparing this plan based on some things that we can't control and some assumptions. And I think that it has a challenging factor, but what I've been leaning on is that, if things change, we'll just need to go back and update it and make sure that the plan remains, relevant and, the best it can be, considering if there's, big changes.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Questions? Deputy Mayor Honda.
The monthly stakeholder meetings.
Yeah.
Where are they held at, and how are you advertising them?
Sure. Initially we wanted to hold them within the sub-area plan boundary, and that's been a little tough. But our first one was held virtually, and the second one was held High Labos room, and the next meeting will be held at Todd Beamer High School. And then we'll be locating at Brooklake Church, I believe, for the 4th meeting. Oh, no, not Brooklake Church. How was it advertised? It was those that attended, there was a couple targeted efforts around this. So before we started before we advertised for the town hall meeting, we sent a letter to all the property owners within this boundary, notifying of this process. And then also we relied on some city-led efforts from like 2019, reframing City South. So I found an inventory of contact information that we basically sent an update saying like, oh, this project has kind of been revived and we're still working on it. There's been promotion on Facebook, but in reality, the stakeholder group has actually been kind of building momentum, and people are joining throughout the process. So it hasn't been exclusive to those who started from the beginning. There's, I think there was a couple new members that attended last time that weren't at the first meeting or the town hall.
Do you have to be in the sub-area to attend?
No, no. I think there's not that level. We would like to have a variety of voices to make sure we don't have, if someone is, that there's enough room for, different perspectives, whether it's a property owner or just a community leader. But there's not a requirement or any eligibility.
If you can let us know when those are, we can put it on the city council Facebook page too.
Sure, yeah. The
advertise
next
it.
meeting's Thursday, actually. This Thursday, at Todd Beamer High School from 5 to 6:30.
Okay, thank you. Oh, one more question. The cultural plan for the arts, so when I was on the Arts Commission, we were saving money to redo that because we knew we needed to. Although the 1993 report is really good.
Very detailed.
Yeah, they did a really good job back then. So, because this is going to be included in this, the Arts Commission will no longer have to worry about updating that?
I don't know if I would say that. This chapter isn't a community plan.
Okay.
There's definitely overlap in like goals and policies and direction, but no, I wouldn't say those are the same thing.
All right.
There might be an implementing action for the city that would, council would review at the time that we adopt the comp plan, and an implementing action might be update or the community plan or other efforts that are maybe necessary to implement the vision of the goals and policies of the chapter.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Cheney? All right.
I'm going to do one more slide.
Oh, okay.
Just this is an update on our progress. So since the last time I presented economic development, the economic development chapter has gone to the Planning Commission. So they've been briefed on that. That's been drafted. And some more chapters are under or in progress.
All right.
So, yeah.
Thank you very much,
Great.
and thank you for your work.
Yeah, thanks.
Right. All right, next, item E, Sound Transit update, I believe from our Kent Smith, our new Sound Transit liaison. Is that the right title?
Yes, that's it.
All right.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So just a quick update on the activities for Sound Transit since last time. For everything north of 317th, so north of the city center, they're still doing landscaping, noise wall construction, and MSE wall construction along the corridor, along with, the big thing was some slope stability issues that they encountered north of the proposed Star Lake Station along the track alignment, which is resulting in a delay. This is outside of the city, and the approximate location. The station is down here right at 272nd and I-5, and then that is also the border of the city. It's just north of 272nd, is out of city limits. So along I-5, approximately there, they had some slight issues. They are working on solutions, so I think the last I heard, they had 3 possible options, and they are looking to advance one further, just working through some issues with the Corps of Engineers for their permitting. For the city center, they are doing, planning to do deck work for the new girders that are over Southwest 320th. Should be the second week in October. Then they have curb gutter sidewalk, street lighting. It's still in progress along 21st Avenue South, just south of the transit center. And then waterline work around the 22nd Avenue, which doesn't exist yet, near the city center. So that's actually all on their site right now. And then they're still in the early work on the station, working on foundation piles for the parking garage, and then some utility crossing and key installations along 23rd Avenue South and South 317th is expected to follow when they finish work on 21st Avenue South. It may end up being pushed to next year, just depending on how long it takes them. As far as the operations and maintenance facility south, there is no update since the last meeting. We're still waiting on the final environmental impact statement, which is expected late this year. So we'll see. Similarly, with the TDLE, Tacoma Dome Link Extension, No update since the last meeting. Their draft environmental impact statement as well was expected in spring 2022, but at this time, we don't have a firm timeline on when that'll be released. And just the last thing was yeah, that should be it. Any questions?
Deputy Mayor Honda.
So when we met with Sound Transit, they talked about a public meeting for new information?
Correct. They still have not set a date yet. I'm waiting to hear back. Hopefully this week, we have a meeting with them to go over some options for their south alignment, so maybe we can get a more firm timeline. So next time I'm up here next month, hopefully I can give you an update.
Hopefully we'll have it before next month. Are they still trying to do it an online meeting, or are they thinking more of an in-person meeting?
They haven't given me a set on either, so
Okay. I would really encourage an in-person meeting with an online option, but thank you.
Right.
I- this-
Yes, Jack.
I would agree with Susan, our deputy mayor's comment, an online meeting with virtual as an option. So I would second to what she just said, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I think you should suggest that to them.
okay.
One question, it sounds like that they're going to be working on the street improvements there, 21st and 23rd and everything right there for the surplus properties. So with the delay in the station opening, it sounds like that surplus property area should be available for development a very substantial time before the station opens. Is that correct?
More than likely. They've had delays on some other things as well as this delay, so there's a kind of a compounding effect that this one is a bigger delay for the sliding that occurred, but the plan would be that they could start developing those properties before they open the station.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions? Deputy Mayor Honda.
I do, oh,
Oh,
go ahead.
The public art, any update on that?
I do not.
that's the elephant in the room.
Behind a tree.
I don't think they've given me anything more than what we already know, so.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And Council Member Sefa Dawson.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. With the delay, I wanted to know if you know what their projected timeline is. Like, do they have a if-then scenario at all? Where they can say, if everything clears up, then we can complete this project 3 months delayed, 6 months, whatever. Is there any such conversation?
I don't know if I've heard an exact time of 3 months or 6 months. It's
Yeah.
certainly pushed the project to 2025 as the opening, and that's what they've let us know. But
Okay.
that's the most they've given me. It would probably depend on the overall solution they come down to on what they choose.
Okay. And does this also impact the OMF timeline in any way?
That's a separate, they're looking, I mean,
So it
sort of,
doesn't affect it
but
at all?
no, they're still proceeding with the OMF on its own.
Okay, thank you. Oh, and one more. You said it was north of 272nd,
Yes.
but I guess that doesn't impact us in any way, even if it was south of 272nd, right? I mean, we don't have any say or any involvement. So does it really mean anything to us, or is there anything we should consider as council?
Not more than that it will cause delay to the opening of the station.
Okay,
But-
great. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Right. Any other questions? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate your work. Any other comments or business? All right. Our next LUTC meeting will be October 3rd at 5 PM right here. So with that, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Jack.
I like this meeting, it's nice. and
All right,
short.
well, 30